Welcome back, everybody, to the Miami Marlins franchise here on MLB the Show 23. We have made it to the end of April here in season number 2, and right now the team is playing solidly. We're currently 14-16 through the first month of the year, and the team is certainly not playing bad. We're starting off pretty similarly to how we did last year, and that's right around the middle. We're going to get through a large chunk of May today, and we're also going to be taking our first look at the minor leagues. We're going to be playing a game at AA, AAA, and the big leagues today, so get your popcorn because it's a pretty jam-packed episode. I'm excited to take a look at some of these prospects, specifically the players who we drafted last year who we haven't played with yet. We've got a number of top 50 prospects, including Yuri Perez, Woody Landry, Robbie Jones, Jacob Berry, and Gennaro Miller. Those are 5 players who I'm really excited to use today, all of whom are focal points in the organization, but especially the draft picks from last year, the players who we drafted in our very first draft class in the series. All of those guys are currently in AA, headlined by our first-round pick, Woody Landry, and so far he's been pretty damn good. In 82 at-bats, he's hitting .451 with a .531 on base, .829 slugging, .1360 OPS. He has 8 home runs, 28 at-bats, more walks than strikeouts, and 37 hits through the first 21 games of the year, and he already has a 2.4 WAR while also having a perfect fielding percentage. So yeah, this guy's been really, really, really good. Completely surpassing all expectations we've had for him up to this point. But the team isn't lighting the world on fire. We're 12-9, currently a game back of first place in the division. Along with Woody, we've got some other notable names here, including Khalil Watson, who's played really well so far. Joel Beltran was our second pick last year. Ethan Wilson's gotten off to a good start. Jose Gerardo is a good prospect. Dominique Sierra, another one of our draft picks last year. And then as we look at the pitching, more draft picks. Cameron Norman's played well so far. Robbie Jones, he was picked in the second round. He's been really good so far, and I'm excited to pitch with him today. Jones is a really, really good young player. He's only 18 years old, 2.22 ERA, .88 whip. He makes you put the ball in play. He doesn't walk a lot of guys, and he doesn't strike out a lot of guys, but he does not allow a ton of hard hits. Fernando Cortez is our other draft pick. He's currently coming out of the bullpen. And speaking of, the bullpen's been fantastic this year. So we're going to sim to Robbie Jones's next appearance, and we would win our next 2 games, including this one 16-3. 8 runs in the first inning. Woody Landry went deep. Khalil Watson actually went deep in both games, which is pretty interesting because through last season and the first month of this year, Watson had 2 home runs. In his last 2 games, he has 2 home runs. Khalil Watson has really added an element of pop to his game, which is pretty exciting because he is a big-time prospect in our organization. So we're facing off against the Mississippi Braves here in this one at Barnes Canyon Ballpark, the AA affiliate of, you guessed it, the Atlanta Braves. And they have not gotten off to as good of a start as our 14-9 Pensacola Blue Wahoos. Apparently I've been saying the Blue Wahoos name wrong the entire time through the first season. Dylan Dodd is starting for the Braves. He has been pretty bad this year, 8.84 ERA, 1.96 whip. I am intrigued, though, because he is a lefty, and all of our best hitters, Watson, Landry, Beltran, they are all lefties. We'll start with Khalil Watson, and he singles into left. That's a good start. A little oppo-popo from Watson, and that'll give an early base runner for Anthony Peguero. Only 18 years old, hitting .253 on the year. Watson looking to steal second. And he is going to be safe. That was not a great jump, but a poor throw from behind the dish puts him in scoring position. Woody Landry's up now as a 3-1 pitch and hits a piss missile in a right center field, and that ball is gone. Woody Landry with a home run here in the first inning. Talk about a good start for Woody, his 10th homer of the year. That ball did not even go super high, but it was just a total rocket off the bat. Exit velo at around 109. He just happened to hit that ball really, really hard. This kid is not your ordinary 18-year-old. He's got such a beautiful swing, and his performance in the minors is kind of similar to the hype that Louis St. John had in our MLB the Show 21 franchise with the Orioles. For those of you who are uneducated and don't know who Louis St. John is, he ended up being a pretty darn good ball player in the big leagues. Jose Gerardo hits a bomb into left field, and the Blue Wahoos go back-to-back. 2-run shot for Woody, solo homer for Gerardo. That's his 3rd of the year. And the Blue Wahoos make it a 3-0 lead. That ball going 4-12. Dylan Dodd so far is getting rocked by the Pensacola offense. Here's Robbie Jones, the second-round pick, hailing from the Netherlands, 2.2 ERA, .88 whip. He's 3-0 in 4 starts. He has adjusted very well to the professional level as he starts off by facing off against Carlos Miranda, a late-round selection by the Braves. Last year, he singles into center. Miranda was actually a player who was on the Marlins' radar, but instead he got drafted by their NL East rival. Cody Milligan is up next. He draws a walk. Not an ideal start for Robbie. He allows 2 early base runners, but he does get Jacob Pearson to go down on the check swing as he fooled him with the outside cutter. 1-2 now for Brandon Parker. Grounds this one to short. Watson over to Sierra. Gets it to Woody. It's a 6-4-3 inning-ending double play. Pretty good start to this game here for the Blue Wahoos as they're feeling themselves. The middle infielders having some fun. Let's go bottom 2. EJ Exposito strikes out on the curveball. Again, Robbie Jones is not a strikeout guy, but he is getting some guys to swing and miss early. Now the catcher, Hayden Sanger, goes down as well. Let's go to the bottom of the 3rd now. Khalil Watson leads it off, and Watson hits a bomb into right field. No doubt about it. Pensacola leads 4-0. Watson, who had 1 home run last year, has now homered in 3 consecutive games, and that's his 4th of the year, and that was not some rinky-dink swing. 410 feet, over 110 exit velo. Khalil Watson has added some real pop to his game. Last year, he was a great contact hitter. He hit right around 300. The contact is back, but he has added a real element of power to his game. Once upon a time, Khalil Watson was in contention to be the number 1 pick a couple years ago. He fell in the draft. His minor league career started off as a disappointment, but he's really coming into his own, and he's only 20 years old. Now Woody Landry is up. He homered in his last at-bat, a 2-run shot back in the 1st inning, looking to do some more damage as he grounds this one down the first base line. Mississippi will make the play. That ball was well out of the zone, but Woody still hit it decently well. Let's go bottom 3. Ryan Schroeder leads it off for Mississippi. He's going to ground this one up the middle. Dominique Sierra does a nice job of trying to block the ball, but he cannot make the throw to first in time, and that'll be an infield single. Carlos Miranda now up for the Braves. Hits this one into right. That'll go for a hit. The other runner is going to look to make it to 3rd. Mississippi now has runners on the corners with nobody out, and a great opportunity to put themselves back in the game. Cody Milligan hits this one into left. Anthony Peguero slow to get over it. He does make the catch, but the runner will score off the sacrifice fly, and the Mississippi Braves will make it a 4-1 ball game. Good at bat, good inning, but Pensacola still leads by 3. Into the 4th now, Ethan Wilson is up, acquired in an offseason trade with Philadelphia, and he will single into left field. Wilson has some pretty good pop, hasn't homered yet this year, but he is hitting for pretty good average, as he is now aboard for Victor Mesa. Mesa's going to single into right. His brother, Victor Mesa Jr., of course, plays on the AAA team. We'll be talking about him a little bit later in the episode. 2 on, 2 away now for Dominique Sierra, a 3rd-round pick in last year's draft. And Sierra's going to ground this one sharply over to 3rd, but the Braves will make the play as it remains 4-1 through the middle of the 4th. The Blue Wahoos lead 2 runners on. Let's go to the 5th inning now, a pitching change for Mississippi. Rico Ibar has checked into the game, 4.64 ERA on the year as he faces off against Woody Landry with a full count. And Landry goes down looking on the fastball. Woody was trying to show off that discipline, but that pitch was in the zone as Ibar retires the side. Bottom 5, Robbie Jones still in the game, nearing 100 pitches as he does allow a base hit here to Ryan Schroeder. So that will get a runner on base for Cody Milligan. Drove in a run in his last at-bat. Milligan with a grounder over to 1st. Woody Landry's going to tag the runner. That'll end the 5th and probably Robbie Jones' night. 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run. Overall, quite solid. Let's go to the 6th inning now. Jose Gerardo rips this one up the middle for a base hit. Gerardo hits lefties well, but he's got to improve against righties. He's really got to improve his plate skills, but he's a young kid, only 19 years old, continuing to improve here offensively. Joel Beltran is up next. He was drafted in the competitive balance round last year, the young catcher from Cuba, as he grounds into a 5-4-3 double play. Bottom 6, Jacob Miller has checked into the game. The 20-year-old arm was a solid reliever for the Double-A team last year. Started some games as well. He'll face off against Brandon Parker, who lines this one into left. That'll drop for a base hit, and the Mississippi Braves have themselves a runner aboard. E.J. Exposito is up next. Hits that one over the glove of De Los Santos. That'll go for extra bases and could potentially score a run. An RBI double for Exposito. And the Mississippi Braves cut the lead down to 2, as it's now a 4-2 ball game. That'll bring up David McCabe next. McCabe hits this one sharply into center. That'll go for a single. Another run scores, and it's now 4-3. Mississippi's really making this game interesting. They struggled early, but the pitching's been a lot better. Their offense is now starting to produce, and Miller will not even make it out of the inning. He'll be replaced by Fernando Cortez. He's been used as the long reliever last year, an 18-year-old drafted in the 6th round out of the Dominican Republic, but still a player who the Marlins organization is pretty excited about. Hayden Sanger hits this one into the gap, and that should tie the game. It'll be an RBI double, and the Mississippi Braves knot this one up at 4, with all 3 runs being earned against Jacob Miller. I think Pensacola might be regretting having Robbie Jones out of the game as early as they did. Ryan Schroeder strikes out. That'll end the inning, but still a big one for the Mississippi Braves as they tie it up at 4. Let's go to the top of the 7th. Ethan Wilson leads it off for the Blue Wahoos, and he will draw a walk as he's now on base for a second time today. So Wilson is on. We'll see if the offense can respond. Khalil Watson up next, and he will draw a walk as well. Watson reaches base for a 3rd time today. 2 on, 2 away. Huge opportunity for Anthony Figueroa. He's going to hit this one sharply in the left. That one could score 2. Wilson will score. Khalil Watson will look to join him, and he will. It's a 2-run double for Anthony Figueroa, and the Pensacola Blue Wahoos are back ahead. Alex Segal will come into the game out of the bullpen. The lefty will face off against Woody Landry, 1 for 3. Hasn't done a whole lot since his home run, as he strikes out looking again, this time on the low fastball. Still a good inning, though. Pensacola takes the lead back, and we go to the bottom of the 7th. Carson Milbrandt is in for Pensacola, has not allowed a run in a little over 5 innings this year. He'll start by facing off against Jacob Pearson. Pearson hits this one well into right field, and that one barely will go fair. It bounces over the foul fence, and it'll be an automatic double. Brandon Parker grounds it up the middle. Milbrandt will throw him out at first. Good inning. Pensacola holds on to their lead as we approach the 8th. Joel Beltran, the young catcher, is up. 22 years old, hailing from Cuba. Played his college ball at Mississippi State University. Singles it into right field. Good swing by Beltran. He actually hits lefties decently well. He would not be able to score, unfortunately, as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Patrick Montverde is in for Pensacola out of the bullpen. He's having a pretty good season as he strikes out David McCabe on the curveball for the second out of the frame. Now facing off against Sanger. Tied the game with an RBI double in his last at-bat. This time he strikes out. Good inning for Montverde, and we go to the 9th. Austin Smith checks in for Mississippi. He'll face off against Hendry Mendez, who checked in off the bench. Mendez was part of the Keston Hiura trade last year with Milwaukee. Obviously, Hiura no longer with the Marlins organization, as Mendez is aboard. Kobe Fletcher Vance is up next, entering the game as a pinch hitter for Dominique Sierra. He will draw a walk, so there's 2 runners aboard for the top of the order due up, and guess who's up? It's Woody Landry, homered in the first inning. Hasn't done a whole lot since. He's only 1 for 4 today, but we'll see if he can make some noise here with 2 runners on and 2 out. He has struck out twice tonight, hoping to avoid the hat trick. But Landry's going to swing and miss on the fastball. Woody Landry, 1 for 5, 2-run homer, 3 strikeouts, 2 looking, 1 swinging. Not his best game, but still nice to see him hit a dinger. Let's go to the bottom of the 9th now. Jorge Mercedes is in for the save. 5 for 5 in saves ops this season. Has not allowed a run yet, but Carlos Miranda will single into center, so that'll give Mississippi a runner. And the tying run is now at the plate. It's Cody Milligan. The Braves down to their final strike, but Milligan singles it into right. So the tying run is aboard. The winning run is at the plate. Home run walks it off and ends it. It's Jacob Pearson, 1 for 4 today. The 2-2, swinging a miss. And the Pensacola Blue Wahoos get the win. 6-4 your final score in a pretty exciting ball game. It was really fun to see all these young prospects produce. Joel Beltran with a base hit, Woody Landry with a dinger, Khalil Watson with a dinger. Those guys all played well. And then on the mound, I was impressed with Robbie Jones. The bullpen, or Jacob Miller specifically, did his best to try to blow the game, but a 2-run double in the 7th by Anthony Peguero and a shutdown few innings from the bullpen would help us keep our winning ways. Pensacola now 15-9 on the season. So let's shift our attention to the AAA team. The AAA team does not have any of our draft picks, but they do have 3 top 50 prospects. Despite that, we're only 13-16 towards the bottom of the division. There are some notable players to look out for. Jacob Berry, one of our top hitting prospects, hasn't played all that well so far this year. Gennaro Miller, the two-way star. Kevin Alcantara is struggling. However, Victor Mesa Jr. has been playing very well. The pitching is really what we should be looking out for with Yuri Perez, Gennaro Miller, and Max Meyer. Perez is certainly the standout name here. He struggled in his first couple of starts, but has been really good as of late. We're going to pitch with him here today. Perez is very close to being a big leaguer. It's going to happen really soon. Gennaro Miller played in Double-A last year. The two-way player has struggled so far on the mound and offensively. And then there's Max Meyer, who did not pitch at all last year due to his recovery with Tommy John. So far, he has not pitched all that well. We also get a look at our international free agent signing, Adonis Takadopoulos, who is not allowed to run so far in over 8 innings. So we're going to play against the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders. We won the first game of the series 6-2. Jacob Berry went yard, his second homer of the year. That's pretty cool. If Berry starts to play better offensively, he's going to be a candidate to get called up pretty soon as well. The Rail Riders are currently 15-15, the AAA affiliate of the New York Yankees, while the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp are currently 14-16. I'm excited to see what Yuri Perez can do against a really good lineup that features Dustin Harris in the 8-hole. If you were here for the Guardians franchise last year, you may remember Dustin Harris because he's the guy who hit the walk-off home run to win us the World Series in Season 5. Starting from the Rail Riders is Deivi Garcia, a former top prospect in the Yankees organization. He hasn't really been able to put it together, but he's only 24 years old. He's got a lot of time, but he has not played all that well this year. He's facing off against Jacob Berry with 2 away, the switch-hitting third base prospect, the second-best hitting prospect in the Marlins organization, only behind Woody, as that'll be a double. Berry was a top draft pick out of LSU, played very well in Double-A last year, has started off a little bit slow this year, but he also started slow last year before really playing well. That'll bring up Taylor Trammell, who hits a moonshot into right field. 2-run homer for the Jumbo Shrimp, and they are on the board here in the first inning. Taylor Trammell is another former top prospect who really hasn't been able to put the pieces together, but that was a pretty good swing. Let's go bottom 1, taking a look at Yuri Perez, who has pitched very well so far for the most part this season. And again, it's only a matter of time. It's when, not if, he's going to get called up to the big leagues within the next month or 2. He'll start by facing off against Yankees top prospect Anthony Volpe, who goes down on the check swing on the 2-seam fastball. That'll bring up Everson Pereira, a pretty good outfield prospect. He'll go down looking on the curveball. We'll see if Perez can strike out the side, facing off against big league veteran Miguel Andujar. 2-2 count, 2 away. Nobody on for Andujar, who's hitting .366 this year, but he goes down looking. Yuri Perez strikes out the side. Pretty good start to the game for him as Jacksonville leads 2-0 through the first. Let's go top 2. Joe Rizzo leads it off for the Jumbo Shrimp, and he leads it off strong as that one will one-hop off the wall. Sick fountain behind it as well, I might add. And that'll be a double for Rizzo as Jacksonville looks to continue the early offensive outpour. Yiddy Cape is up here, a pretty good shortstop prospect. Runners on the corners after a Kevin Alcantara walk as Cape will fly this one into right field. This ball will be caught. The base runner Rizzo will look to score. Throw from right is not in time. And the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp lead it 3-0 off the sac fly. Bottom 2, Austin Wells in the cleanup spot. He strikes out on the curveball. Nobody has put the ball in play yet for Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Andres Chaparro up with 2 away. Swinging a miss on the fastball. 5 strikeouts in the first 2 innings for Yuri Perez, who is not a lot of base runner yet, completely overmatching these AAA hitters. Top 3, Jordan Groshans draws a walk. Groshans played in the big leagues last year and honestly played pretty well, but is down here in AAA after a rough spring. Jacob Berry up next. He doubled in his last at-bat. And he's going to look to potentially double it again as he once again goes to the left center gap. Basically the exact same swing and spot of his last double. Only difference is this one drives in a run. Groshans scores from first, and the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp lead it 4-0. Taylor Trammell homered in his last at-bat. I'm sure he'd love to do that again, but instead he goes down looking on a filthy 12-6 curve, painting the low outside corner of the strike zone. Bottom three, Matt Gorski finally gets a base runner for Scranton Wilkes-Barre, and it looks like it will end up being a double. So Gorski's in scoring position with nobody out. Perfect opportunity to finally get some run support. That'll bring up our good friend Dustin Harris. Not quite a walk-off World Series home run. Instead, he strikes out swinging way too early on the curveball. Perez's 6th K of the day. Here's his 7th. Painting the corner on Volpe, who goes down looking. Filthy pitch. Into the 4th now, here's the catcher Joe Mack, who spent last year in Double-A, half of which he spent on the IL with a finger injury. But he does get that one to go over the glove of the right fielder. It looks like it'll be a double, but Mack's going to try to leg it into a triple. The throw from the cutoff man is in time. They got him. The bold base running proves to backfire for the Jumbo Shrimp. Let's go to the bottom of the 4th. Scranton Wilkes-Barre just trying to get anything going offensively as Austin Wells singles into right. With one away, I suppose that's a good start to the inning. We'll see if they can finally put themselves on the board. Trey Sweeney, a first-round draft pick a couple years ago, strikes out on the fastball. Most of these guys are having so much trouble putting the bat to the ball against Yuri Perez, who already has 9 strikeouts. Andres Chaparro thought that was ball 4, but instead it's not. So now the count is 3-2 after a debatable call going for Perez, as this one is going to be hit into right, and Kevin Alcantara makes a nice grab. Alcantara was the focal point of the Garrett Cooper trade at last year's deadline with the Cubs. Let's go to the 5th inning now. Zach Davies is in for the Rail Riders. Davies is most famously known for cheating on his wife and being an absolute snob of a human being. Victor Mesa Jr. does not like cheaters. Mesa crushes this one into center field, and that ball is gone. Solo shot for Mesa, his 3rd of the year, and the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp lead it 5-0. Victor Mesa Jr. has been fantastic this year. Last year he played pretty well and could have been a minor league stud of the year candidate had he not gotten injured in September, but this year he's been even better, and he is really close to being called up to the big leagues. Jordan Groshans up here, he singles into center. I suppose he does not like people who cheat on their wives as well. So now Jacksonville is another early base runner. They're already up 5-0, but clearly they're trying to do some more. Jacob Berry 2 for 2 on the night. He, instead of getting another hit, is going to ground into a double play. 5-4-3, not ideal. Still not a bad inning, though, as Jacksonville scores off the homer. And we go to the bottom of the 5th. Matt Gorski had a base hit in his last at-bat, but this time he chases the low curveball. Another strikeout for Perez, who's now in the double figures. Our good buddy Dustin Harris is here as well. He strikes out on the 2-seamer. Yuri Perez is cooking. He might be cooking some jumbo shrimp the way he's been cooking these batters tonight. Pun intended, as he strikes out Andres Alvarez. He'll strike out the side, 3 Ks in a row. Only a good thing when you're talking about baseball. 5 scoreless for Yuri Perez, the top prospect in the Marlins organization. As let's go bottom 6. Let's see if Yuri Perez can continue his dominance. Anthony Volpe with a dribbler. Mack slow to react. And that'll be an infield single for Volpe. Just the 3rd base hit all night for Scranton Wilkes-Barre. We'll see if they can finally get some runs across as Everson Pereira strikes out on the 2-seamer. Nice pitch by Perez. Now facing off against Miguel Andujar. Checks his swing. Umpire says he did not go around. So that's another base runner. 2 on, 2 away, 2-2 count for Trey Sweeney. Perez at 105 pitches as he strikes him out on the curveball. 6 scoreless for Perez. Do you keep him in for the 7th? He allowed a couple base runners. Or do you go to the bullpen? Yuri Perez still in the game here in the 7th inning. And there's a chance that might have backfired. Gorski hits this one into right center. Gorski's going to look to round second. He'll actually make his way over to third with a triple. So he is in scoring position, his 2nd extra base hit of the night. And we'll see if our good friend Dustin Harris can drive him in. Harris, he will single in to left. And that'll score Gorski, making it 5-1. Yuri Perez has allowed a couple more hits. He allows a run. His pitch count is really high, and the Jumbo Shrimp are going to take him out of the game. Still a brilliant performance for Perez, who struck out 13 in 6 and a third innings, only allowing 1 run so far. He was fantastic, continuing to overmatch these AAA batters and just continuing to prove himself as a guy who's going to be called up within the next couple of episodes. Jorge Alcala will enter the game to replace him. Alcala is a guy with some big league experience, pitched with the Twins and the Marlins last season, but he did not win a job in the bullpen in the spring, and he hasn't really helped his case in AAA with an ERA hovering around 5. He will get out of the inning quickly as Andres Alvarez grounds into a double play. That was fast, and there will be no further damage done as it remains 5-1. Let's enter the 8th inning now. Zach Davies still in the game. He's actually been pitching pretty well since allowing the home run. Jacob Berry with a grounder to second, but it is bobbled. That'll be an E4, and Berry is safe at first. A poor defensive play by Alvarez. Taylor Tramella's up next. He homered earlier in the game. Back in the first inning, has a full count. He'll draw a walk. So now there's 2 runners aboard here and only 1 away as the Jumbo Shrimp looks to extend their lead. That'll bring up Gennaro Miller, the two-way player who's not been too good today. He's 0 for 3, making 0 for 4, striking out on the 2-seam fastball. We'll see if Zach Davies can get out of the inning as he faces off against the third baseman, Joe Rizzo. 1-1 count for Rizzo. This one is singled into center, and that'll drive in a run. It's an RBI single. Joe Rizzo has Riz in his name, something that Zach Davies does not know a whole lot about, and it is now a 6-1 ball game. Pitching change will be made for Scranton Wilkes-Barre as Spencer Watkins, the former Baltimore Oriole, will check into the game, 3.18 ERA on the year. He will face off against Kevin Alcantara, who's had a really disappointing season, doesn't have a hit yet today, but it looks like he's going to change that right here. Alcantara hits it well into the right center gap. 1 run will score, a second will join. 2-run double for Kevin Alcantara, and the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp lead it 8-1. Both runs will go against Zach Davies. Bottom 8 now, Adonis Takadopoulos into the game, the international free agent. He's a submarine pitcher. Look at his pitches. He's got an interesting repertoire, including a knuckleball. Look at the movement on that pitch as he gets Volpe to go down looking. His knuckleball is not his only slow but impactful pitch. He's got a slurve, he's got a sinker, and a curveball. Interesting group. Takadopoulos will look to go back to the knuckleball as he strikes out Andujar to end the inning. That pitch is so filthy. How are you supposed to hit that? The way it moves in the zone. A 1-2-3 inning for Takadopoulos as we go to the 9th. 2 away here for Jordan Groshans has a 1-1 count. Groshans hits this one high and deep into center field. Back at the track at the wall, it's gone! Solo home run for Groshans, and the Jumbo Shrimp are now up 9-1, really turning this game into a blowout. Groshans with his 2nd homer of the season. Let's go bottom 9. Look at the slurve with Takadopoulos. Such a nasty pitch as it's now 2-2 for Austin Wells. Got him on the sinker. That sinker has some ridiculous movement, as does all of his other pitches. Trey Sweeney up next. There's the curveball. Again, nasty. Sweeney's going to ground this one over to second. Yidi Cape's throw to first is in time for the 2nd out of the inning. So now there's a runner on here for Matt Gorski. He's going to ground this one to short. Jordan Groshans looks to make the play, and he does not. Takadopoulos actually allowing a couple of base hits here. We'll see if he can get out of the inning and end the game here against our good buddy Dustin Harris, as it's a knuckleball. Harris actually does hit it. Grounder to Cape, who gets the out at first, and that's your ball game. Jacksonville wins it 9-1. The Jumbo Shrimp really clicked on all aspects today. The offense was good. We hit for good power. We hit well with guys on base. And on the mound, Yuri Perez was phenomenal. 6 1/3 innings, only allowing 1 run, getting the win. He was fantastic, striking out 13 batters en route to getting the W. Again, it's a matter of when, not if, Yuri Perez gets called up to the big leagues, and it's going to happen sooner rather than later with the performance he had here. As for Scranton Wilkes-Barre, they've got a lot of major league caliber players, guys like Volpe and Andujar and others, and their offense just didn't really produce today, and their pitching was not a whole lot better either. Diego Garcia, another major league level player, struggled, and the bullpen was not great either. So let's now transition into the major leagues. It's pretty clear that our minor league system has a very bright future, but what about the big leaguers we've got currently? As it stands now, the team is 15-18. I just simulated this series against Cleveland. We only took 1 of 2. Our lone win was a 5-3 victory. Harrison Bader with a 3-run shot. Edward Cabrera pitched really well on the mound again. He has been fantastic this year, which has been great to see. But overall, I feel like the team, especially offensively, has been a little bit inconsistent. Jazz Chisholm and Rowdy Tellez have both been a little bit disappointing this year. Jesus Sanchez has been up and down. Harrison Bader has really struggled. But we do have some guys playing well. Nick Fortes has taken another leap. Brian De La Cruz has been good offensively, although his reaction time in the outfield is still as slow as a sloth. As for the pitching, you got to keep in mind we're without Trevor Rogers for a little while as he recently tore his shoulder. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Edward Cabrera. Sandy's been pretty good as usual, and then the rest of the rotation's been fine as well. The bullpen up and down. So we're going to simulate this Diamondback series, and we get swept. We lose the last game 6-9, which is normally nice, but not in this case. Sandy Alcantara really struggled. 4 2/3 innings, 7 runs allowed, 12 hits. He just hasn't really looked like himself these last few starts. He's already allowed 50 hits. The ERA is a little bit under 4. I'm not really worried about him. I'm sure he'll be fine, but he hasn't pitched all that well recently. I wanted to pitch with Edward Cabrera since he's been pitching really well, as we get offered a trade from Toronto, and it's a really interesting one. Jesus Luzardo for Danny Jansen, 2 players who would be buy low candidates in essence because their trade value feels kind of low. Danny Jansen's on the last year of his contract. He's a free agent. I like what we have at the catcher position, and although Jesus Luzardo has been not the best, he's lost every game he's pitched in this year, I'd rather keep him and try to see what we can get out of him over these next few years. So let's take a look at this matchup here with Edward Cabrera on the bump. I know we just pitched with him in the last episode, but he has been really good this season. I want to get another look at him. And now he's going to be facing off against an actual big league lineup. In the last episode, we had a 6-inning shutout performance with him against the Washington Nationals. But you got to keep in mind, that's the Nationals. These are the Chicago Cubs on the road at Wrigley. The Cubs are currently in first place in the National League Central. They're a pretty good team, and they're hitting the ball quite well currently. A lot of guys are producing in that lineup. Marcus Stroman getting the start today for Chicago, 3.59 ERA, 1.41 whip. Overall, he's been a pretty solid number 2 behind the 22-year-old Japanese sensation, Roki Sasaki, who the Marlins beat in the first game of this series. Full count for Jazz Chisholm. He grounds it up the middle. Backhanded throw at second base as the Cubs retire the side. Quick 1-2-3 inning for Marcus Stroman. Here's Edward Cabrera. In his first 7 starts this year, is 4-1. ERA exactly at 3. He's striking out batters at a good clip. Only 14 walks in 39 innings is the big one, though. He's really limiting the walks as he strikes out Josh Rojas. Acquired last year for the Diamondbacks, strikes out, and then Christopher Morel goes down looking. Good start for Edward Cabrera. He strikes out 2 as we are scoreless through 1. And he gets Seiya Suzuki. Here in the bottom of the second, another talented Japanese-born player. Trey Mancini's up now with a runner aboard. He goes down on the fastball. Edward Cabrera putting on a clinic early in this ball game as he finishes off the inning by getting Luis Torrens to swing and miss on the sinker. Good start for Edward Cabrera. Scoreless here into the third. The Marlins offense has got nothing going so far as Fortes grounds it up the middle. Marcus Stroman with a nice backhanded play. The Marlins have yet to gotten a base runner. Jorge Soler, the former Chicago Cub, will look to change that. Full count, and he will draw a walk. Soler was part of the 2016 World Championship Chicago Cubs squad. Of course, Soler later would win a World Series MVP with the Braves, and it would be pretty much all for naught, as he will be out at second with a ground out from Luis Ariz. Let's go to the bottom of the third now. Still no score. Josh Rojas up with 1 away. He goes down looking on the curveball. Edward Cabrera looks dominant right now. Another really good start, potentially loading for him. Ian Happ's going to look to change that, however, as he hits this one nicely into left field as it makes it all the way to the wall, and it looks like it'll be a double. The Cubs now the runner here in scoring position with 2 away, and we'll see if Dansby Swanson, another former world champion with the Braves, can drive him in, and it looks like he will. Swanson hits this one into right. It goes off the wall. It'll be an RBI double for Dansby Swanson, and the Chicago Cubs are on the board first. They lead at 1-0. Good swing by Swanson. That'll bring up Christopher Morel now, looking to extend the lead, but instead he goes chasing on the slider. Still not a bad inning for the Cubs as they are on the board with the RBI double by Swanson. Into the fourth now. Jazz Chisholm up for the Marlins. He strikes out on the low sinker. The Marlins are getting fooled by those low pitches today as they are still without a base hit through 4. Into the bottom of the fourth, Cabrera right back to business. He strikes out Seiya Suzuki for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up Gio Urshela next. He hits this one well into left center field, and that one will one-hop off the wall for a double. So Cabrera is still striking guys out at a great rate, but whenever the Cubs are putting the ball in play over these last couple of innings, they're hitting it well as Trey Mancini crushes this ball into left field, and that one is gone. 2-run shot for Trey Mancini, another former World Series champion. He won one with the Astros in 22. That one goes 420 feet, by the way. Blaze it. Luis Torrens then goes down on the low fastball. Cabrera trying to look unfazed, but it turns out he's going to allow another homer, this time to Brennan Davis, a big-time prospect at center field in this organization. Davis makes it a 4-0 lead as that one goes 422, slightly more than Trey Mancini's homer. With 2 away, Rojas grounds it up the middle. Cabrera makes it through the rest of the inning, but I don't think we'll see him back in the 5th. The Cubs score 3 with a pair of homers by Trey Mancini and Brennan Davis. The Marlins, meanwhile, still don't have a hit. Nick Fortes checks his swing on the slider. He 100% did not go around. I look at the replay. He very clearly did not go around, but whatever. 5 no-hit innings for Marcus Stroman. We'll see how much longer he can keep it going. A.J. Puck enters the game here in the bottom half of the inning, 4.5 ERA, allowing 9 runs in 18 innings. And the Cubs are looking to start strong off of him. With 1 away, Dansby Swanson gets his second hit of the game, a single into center field. We'll see if Chicago can look to extend the lead even further than they've already built it up to be. Christopher Morel hits this one into the gap. Jesus Sanchez misplays it. He outruns it. Morel looks like he's going to make it to third. Swanson scores. So it's an RBI triple for Christopher Morel, and the Cubs now lead it 5-0, and they can extend the lead even more with a runner 90 feet away from home. Suzuki grounds it to short. Chisholm gets the out at first, but Morel will score, and the Cubs now lead it 6-0. So Chicago's up big here going into the 6th. Let's see if we're going to witness history, though. The Marlins certainly hoping to avoid being on the wrong side of it, as Jorge Soler strikes out at the cutter. Luis Arraez up now for the Marlins with 2 away. Grounds this one over to second. Rojas makes the play. 6 no-hit innings for Marcus Stroman, who's allowed 1 base runner all night. Into the bottom of the 6th now. Jonathan Loaizaga is in for the Marlins. He started off the year strong, hasn't played as well since as he strikes out Luis Torrens. Torrens 0 for 3 with 3 Ks today. Into the 7th. Brian De La Cruz looking to end the no-hitter. And he will. That one drops in a right. De La Cruz will start the inning off with a double. The Marlins have a runner in scoring position. This is a good opportunity to at least put themselves on the board, if nothing more. De La Cruz would then advance to third, and that'll bring up Rowdy Tellez. The ball gets by the catcher. De La Cruz will look to score off of the wild pitch, and he does. Good heads-up base running by De La Cruz, and the Marlins are on the board as it's now 6-1. Rowdy Tellez still up. He's got a full count, and Tellez crushes this one into left center. No doubt about it. The big fella, Rowdy Tellez, with a solo shot, his 4th of the year. Tellez has been pretty disappointing through the first month of the year. I'm certainly willing to keep this experiment going for the rest of the season, but so far it's not really working out, although that was a great swing. So Stroman will be taken out of the game. Still a great performance by him. Adrian Sampson will replace him, and it looks like he'll make it through the rest of the inning. Gene Segura with a pop fly over to second. So the Marlins actually do something here. They score 2 runs. They finally get some hits, but they still trail by 4. Matt Barnes will enter the game here in the bottom of the 7th, the longtime Boston Red Sox. With 2 away, he'll face off against Christopher Morel, who has been raking tonight at the plate. Hits this one over to the side wall and left. The ball practically gets stuck. Sanchez can barely make the play, and it'll be a double for Christopher Morel, who has 3 extra base hits tonight. Can Seiya Suzuki drive him in? It looks like he will. Suzuki singles into left. Morel will score barely with a great throw from Sanchez, and it is now a 7-2 Chicago lead. Into the 8th, Sampson still in on the mound for Chicago as Nick Fortes hits this ball well into right field, and that one's going to drop in the corner. Fortes on his horse. He's going to round second, looking to make it to third, and he is safe. The young catcher with a triple to start the inning. Miami with a runner 90 feet away from home as they look to add some more runs. Avisail Garcia enters off the bench. He's got a better clutch rating than Jorge Soler, hence the decision. He will draw a walk. So now there's runners on the corners. If the Marlins can drive these guys in, they can make it a ball game. The center fielder, Harrison Bader, is up next. Grounds it up the middle. That'll be a double play, but the run scores. Still not a good at bat, but at least Miami got one in, and it's now 7-3. As we go to the bottom of the 8th, Wandy Peralta is in for Miami. 4 runs allowed in 6 innings so far. He hasn't been all that good. More walks than strikeouts. As Brennan Davis hits this ball high and deep in the left center, and De La Cruz makes the catch at the wall. That might be the first good defensive play I've ever seen Brian De La Cruz make in this series. Hats off to him. Let's go to the 9th now. Marlins trail by 4, but they're looking to start a rally as Jazz Chisholm hits this ball well into right center, and it is gone into the seats. It's a solo shot for Jazz, his 6th of the year, and it is now a 7-4 ball game. So with that, the Cubs are going to go to the bullpen and hand this one off to Joe Mantiply. First-time All-Star in 2022. Last year he was traded to the Cubs. He won the reliever of the year, and this year he's been even better. In 9 innings this year, he's allowed 1 walk and 0 hits. That's insane. So basically, through 9 innings, he's pitched a perfect game, minus allowing 1 walk. Well, Rowdy Tellez is going to change that. Tellez hits it well into right, and it is gone. Solo homer for Tellez. The Marlins go back-to-back, and we've got ourselves a ball game. It's now 7-5. That's the first hit or run that Joe Mantiply has allowed all season long. Tellez with his 5th homer of the year, his 2nd of the ball game, and the Marlins are only down by 2. One away here for Gene Segura. He hits lefties well. This one hit sharply into left center. That one will one-hop off the wall. Segura will look to make it to second safely, and he does. So with that, the potential tying run is at the plate. Who would have thought these Marlins, who got no hit going into the 7th inning, are going to get a chance to win this game? Nick Fortes hits it well into left. Might have been a little too well as it is caught. The throw to third is offline. Segura's going to look to take third. In hindsight, that was a pretty stupid decision, and the Marlins are lucky he wasn't out. There really was no reason to have him go there, but he did, and he is safe. So he's now on third for Avisail Garcia. Down to the final strike. Garcia hits it, and that one's going to be close. Can they get him out at first? They do not! Avisail Garcia is safe with a really good hustle. Segura scores, and it's now 7-6. So the Cubs are going to make a pitching change as Mantiply cannot even get the save. He allows 2 runs, and Scott Barlow will come in to replace him. John Birdie will now be a pinch runner. He is the tying runner, and he's got some wheels. The potential go-ahead run, Harrison Bader, is up at the plate with a 1-2 count. Birdie running, and Bader strikes out on the slider. The Cubs win a really exciting game by the final score of 7-6. The Marlins offense did not show up for the first 6 innings of this game. They did not get a single hit until the 7th inning, but I got to give them credit. They fought, and they made it a game up until the very end, but it was a classic case of too little too late, and if there was one more inning here, I think the Marlins probably would have been able to win. It was still good to see our guys rally. Homers for Chisholm and Tellez with 2. Edward Cabrera did not have his best outing, and the bullpen wasn't great either. Chicago hit the ball well. Marcus Stroman was great, but the Cubs bullpen nearly blew it and nearly dampened what was a phenomenal start from Stroman. So we're going to simulate here through these next few weeks, wrapping up the Cubs series. 4 games at CBP against the Phillies, 3 at home against the Yankees, 3 at home against the White Sox. And look at this, we went 8-3. We win the Cubs series, we win the Phillies series, taking 3 of 4 at their place. We win the Yankees series, and we win the White Sox series. We won all 4 series. We're now only 1 game under 500 at 24-25. We are well within the wild card race, and now that we're pretty much a third of the way through the year, we can start to make some conclusions about this team. And who knows, we could be chasing a wild card spot when it's all said and done. By the way, Woody Landry has not slowed down. His OPS is at 1250. His WAR's at like 4. His average is now under 400, though. It's only 395. And I say only in air quotes. So we're going to get through the rest of May in the next episode into the month of June. We're getting pretty close to the All-Star break and thus the MLB draft, which is going to be approaching within the next few episodes. Let me know what you thought about this one down below in the comments. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.